Manchester United tracking Karim Adeyemi. The complete inside story you need to know. Welcome back to United Daily Updates, your most trusted and reliable source for everything Manchester United. Before we jump into today's massive transfer story, I need to ask you something. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? If not, what are you waiting for? We bring you honest, accurate, and detailed Manchester United content every single day. No fake news. No clickbait headlines. Just real information from people who genuinely care about this football club. Our community is growing fast, and we would love to have you as part of it. Hit that subscribe button right now, turn on your notifications, and never miss another update about the club we all love. The transfer question that changes everything. Here is a question that might surprise you. After spending nearly £200 million on attacking players just a few months ago, why is Manchester United still looking at more forwards? Does this mean the summer signings are not working? Is there a problem we do not know about? Or is this just smart planning for the future? The latest name being linked with Manchester United is Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund. The 23-year-old German winger has pace that terrifies defenders. He has skills that get fans off their seats. He has the kind of electric quality that can change matches in seconds. And apparently, Manchester United want him. But before you start getting excited or worried about this potential transfer, you need to know the full story. You need to understand what is actually happening behind the scenes. You need to separate the facts from the speculation and the rumors from the reality. That is exactly what I am going to do in this article. I am going to take you through every single detail about Manchester United's interest in Karim Adeyemi. I am going to explain who he is as a player. I am going to tell you what reliable sources are saying. I am going to analyze whether this transfer makes sense. And I am going to give you my honest opinion about what will probably happen. By the time you finish reading this, you will know more about this potential transfer than 99% of Manchester United fans. You will have all the information you need to form your own educated opinion. And you will understand exactly what to expect in the coming weeks and months. So let's get started. Let's dive deep into the Karim Adeyemi story and find out what is really going on. What Fabrizio Romano told us. Let me start with the most important information. What did Fabrizio Romano actually say about this? Why does his opinion matter so much? And what can we learn from his exact words? For those who might not know, Fabrizio Romano is one of the most trusted transfer journalists in world football. When Romano reports something, you can usually believe it. He has sources inside clubs. He verifies information before sharing it. He does not just repeat rumors for clicks like so many other journalists do. So when Romano speaks about a transfer, we should pay close attention. And he has spoken about Manchester United's interest in Karim Adeyemi through GiveMeSport. Let me break down exactly what he said and what it means. Romano explained that Manchester United are looking at the market for a forward who can do several different jobs. They want someone who can play as a winger. They want someone who can play as a number 10 behind the striker. They want someone who is electric, skillful, talented, and above all, fast. Romano specifically mentioned speed multiple times. He emphasized that Adeyemi is very fast. He said that Manchester United are looking for players with pace, and Adeyemi definitely has that quality. This tells us something important about what Ruben Amorim values in his attacking players. Then Romano said something crucial. He confirmed that Manchester United are following several players with these characteristics. Adeyemi is one name on their list, but he is not the only one. The club is keeping their options open and monitoring multiple potential targets. Romano went on to say that Adeyemi is one of the best players in Europe when it comes to possessing these specific qualities. This is high praise. Romano is saying that if you want a fast, skillful, versatile attacker, Adeyemi is among the top options available. But here comes the most important part of what Romano said. He was asked directly whether Manchester United are negotiating with Adeyemi's agents. He was asked whether United are negotiating with Borussia Dortmund for a January transfer. And his answer was very clear. Romano said that from what he has been told, at this stage of the year, Manchester United have not started concrete negotiations. They have not started concrete discussions for Karim Adeyemi. Let me repeat that because it is crucial. No concrete negotiations. No concrete discussions. What does this mean in simple terms? It means Manchester United are interested. It means they are watching Adeyemi closely. It means his name is definitely on their list of potential targets. But it does not mean a transfer is happening soon. It does not mean negotiations are underway. It does not mean a deal is close. This is important to understand because sometimes football fans see a player linked with their club and immediately assume the transfer is almost done. But there is a huge difference between monitoring a player and actually trying to sign them. Manchester United probably monitor hundreds of players every season. Only a small number actually get signed. So Romano's report tells us that yes, there is genuine interest in Adeyemi. But no, nothing concrete is happening yet. The club is still in the watching and assessing phase. They have not moved to the negotiating phase. And there is no guarantee they ever will. This is why Romano is so respected. He gives you the truth without exaggeration. He tells you what is actually happening rather than making things sound more exciting than they really are. And in this case, the truth is that United are interested but nothing is happening right now. Who exactly is Karim Adeyemi? Now that we understand what Romano said, let's talk about the player himself. Who is Karim Adeyemi? What kind of footballer is he? What are his strengths and weaknesses? Why would Manchester United be interested in him? Karim Adeyemi is 23 years old. He was born in Munich, Germany in January 2002. His background is interesting because his father is from Nigeria and his mother is Romanian. So Adeyemi grew up in a multicultural household in Germany, which is common for many modern footballers. Adeyemi started his football journey in the Bayern Munich youth system. Yes, that Bayern Munich. One of the biggest clubs in world football. This tells you that from a young age, people recognized he had talent. You do not get into Bayern's academy unless scouts see something special in you. However, Adeyemi did not break through at Bayern. He left their youth system and joined SPVGG Unterhaching, a smaller German club where he could get more opportunities. This move turned out to be smart because he started playing regular football and developing his skills. Then came the big break. In 2018, when Adeyemi was just 16 years old, he moved to Red Bull Salzburg in Austria. This was a brilliant move for his career. Salzburg have a reputation for developing young attacking players. They give youth a chance. They play exciting, attacking football. It was the perfect environment for Adeyemi to grow. At Salzburg, Adeyemi absolutely exploded onto the scene. He scored goals for fun. He terrified defenders with his pace. He showed the kind of quality that makes big clubs take notice. In the 2021-22 season, he scored 23 goals and provided 6 assists in all competitions. Those are incredible numbers for a 19-year-old winger. His performances in the Champions League were particularly impressive. Adeyemi scored against some of Europe's best teams. He showed he could perform on the biggest stages. He demonstrated that his talent was real and not just hype. Naturally, big clubs started circling. And in the summer of 2022, Borussia Dortmund won the race to sign him. They paid around €30 million to bring Adeyemi back to Germany. This was seen as a statement signing. Dortmund were getting one of Europe's most exciting young forwards. So what has happened since Adeyemi moved to Dortmund? The truth is his time there has been mixed. He has shown flashes of the brilliance that made him so special at Salzburg. He has scored important goals. He has had matches where he looked unplayable. But he has also had periods of inconsistency. He has struggled with injuries. He has not quite become the superstar that many expected. This inconsistency is actually quite normal for young attacking players. Very few players are world-class at 23. Most need time to develop, to learn, to mature. The question with Adeyemi is whether he will fulfill his enormous potential or whether he will remain a talented but frustrating player who never quite reaches the top level. So what kind of player is Adeyemi right now? Let me break down his main qualities and characteristics in detail. The first thing anyone notices about Adeyemi is his speed. We are not talking about being a bit quick. We are talking about genuine, frightening pace. The kind of speed that leaves even fast defenders looking slow. When Adeyemi gets the ball in space and starts running, very few players in world football can keep up with him. This pace is not just straight-line speed either. Adeyemi has acceleration. He can go from standing still to full speed in just a few strides. This makes him incredibly dangerous when receiving the ball facing goal. Defenders cannot give him any space because he will exploit it immediately. Second, Adeyemi is very versatile. He can play on the left wing, on the right wing, or behind the striker as a number 10. Some forwards can only play one specific position, but Adeyemi can adapt to different roles. This versatility is valuable for managers because it gives them tactical flexibility. Third, Adeyemi is technically skilled. He can dribble past defenders. He can beat players one-on-one. He has quick feet that allow him to change direction suddenly. He is comfortable in tight spaces. These technical qualities combined with his pace make him a nightmare to defend against when he is on form. Fourth, Adeyemi has good finishing ability. He is not just someone who creates chances for others. He can score goals himself. He gets into good positions in the penalty area. He has the composure to finish when opportunities come his way. His goal-scoring record throughout his career proves this. Fifth, Adeyemi has shown he can perform in big matches. His Champions League performances for Salzburg demonstrated that he does not freeze when the pressure is highest. He seems to enjoy the big occasions and raise his game when it matters most. But Adeyemi also has weaknesses that need to be mentioned honestly. His decision-making can be poor at times. He sometimes holds onto the ball too long instead of passing to teammates in better positions. His final ball is not always accurate. These are aspects of his game that still need improvement. Another weakness is his defensive contribution. In modern football, especially in the Premier League, attackers are expected to work hard when the team does not have the ball. They need to press defenders. They need to track back. Adeyemi's work rate in this area is not the strongest. He focuses more on attacking than defending. There are also questions about his consistency. At Salzburg, he was brilliant week after week. At Dortmund, he has been up and down. Some matches he looks like a world beater. Other matches he barely impacts the game. For a player to succeed at Manchester United, consistency is crucial. His injury record at Dortmund is also a slight concern. He has missed matches with various knocks and problems. While nothing has been long-term serious, staying fit is important. You cannot help the team if you are always in the treatment room. Overall, when you look at Adeyemi as a complete package, you see a player with massive talent and potential. He has physical gifts that very few players possess. He has technical ability that is well above average. He has shown he can score goals at a high level. But he is also still developing. He is not the finished article yet. He is a project player who could become world-class or could remain frustratingly inconsistent. Breaking down what Manchester United actually want. Let's take a step back and think about what Manchester United are actually looking for. Why would they want another attacker? What specific qualities are they trying to add to the squad? Understanding this will help us figure out whether Adeyemi makes sense. According to Romano's report, Manchester United want a forward who can operate in multiple attacking roles. This is key. They do not just want a left winger or just a striker. They want someone versatile who can play different positions across the front line. Why is versatility so important? Because modern football requires players who can adapt. Managers change formations during matches. Injuries force teams to shuffle their lineup. Having players who can only do one specific job limits your tactical options. Having players who can do multiple jobs gives you flexibility. Think about how Ruben Amorim wants Manchester United to play. He likes his teams to be fluid in attack. He wants movement and rotation. He wants players who can interchange positions and confuse defenders. A versatile attacker like Adeyemi would fit perfectly into this approach. Manchester United also specifically want someone who is quick. Speed is clearly a priority. Why? Because pace is one of the hardest qualities to defend against. If you have genuine pace in your team, you can hurt opponents on the counter-attack. You can stretch defenses. You can create space for other players. Looking at Manchester United's current attackers, they have quality but maybe not enough variety in terms of pace. Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha are good players, but neither has the kind of electric speed that Adeyemi possesses. Adding that dimension would give United a different way to hurt teams. The other quality mentioned is being sharp on the ball. This means good technical ability, quick feet, the ability to beat players in tight spaces. Manchester United wants someone who can receive the ball in crowded areas and still make things happen. Someone who does not need lots of space to be effective. When you combine all these requirements, you get a very specific profile. Young, fast, skillful, versatile, and comfortable on the ball. Not many players tick all these boxes. Adeyemi does. This is why United are interested. But here is the thing. Just because a player fits the profile does not mean he is the right signing. You also need to consider whether he would actually improve the team. Whether he would adapt to English football. Whether his weaknesses would be exposed in the Premier League. Whether the price is worth paying. These are the questions that Manchester United's recruitment team needs to answer before pursuing Adeyemi seriously. Identifying a player who fits the profile is step 1. Deciding whether to actually try to sign him is step 2. And we are still at step 1 right now. The £200 million question. Let's address the elephant in the room. Manchester United spent close to £200 million on attacking reinforcements during the summer transfer window. They signed Bryan Mbeumo from Brentford. They signed Matheus Cunha from Wolverhampton Wanderers. They signed Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. That is 3 new forwards at huge cost. So why on earth would they need another attacker? Have the summer signings flopped already? Is there panic behind the scenes? Or is something else going on? This is a fair question that deserves a detailed answer. Let me explain the thinking behind Manchester United's continued interest in attacking players despite the massive summer investment. First, let's be clear about one thing. The summer signings have not flopped. Mbeumo has been good. Cunha has shown quality. Sesko is young and still adapting but has shown promise. The club is not looking at more attackers because the new players are failures. That is not what is happening here. So what is happening? Why are United still shopping for forwards? There are several logical reasons. Reason number one is squad depth. Top clubs that want to compete for multiple trophies need big squads. You cannot rely on just 13 or 14 players to get through a whole season. Injuries happen. Fatigue sets in. Form dips. You need quality options on the bench and in reserve. Think about how Manchester City won the treble under Pep Guardiola. They had incredible depth. They could rotate 5 or 6 players and still field a team capable of winning matches. Manchester United need to build towards that level of depth if they want to compete for major honours. Reason number 2 is tactical variety. Different opponents require different approaches. Against some teams, you might want forwards who are physical and can hold up the ball. Against other teams, you might want pace to exploit space in behind. Having different types of attackers gives the manager more tactical options. Adeyemi would provide a type of pace that Manchester United do not currently have in abundance. His ability to stretch defences vertically and run in behind would give Ruben Amorim a different weapon to use depending on the opposition. Reason number 3 is the injury situation. Benjamin Sesko is currently injured and will not be back until mid-December. This shows how quickly a squad can become thin. One injury to a key player and suddenly you have problems. Having more attacking options provides insurance against injuries. Reason number 4 is long-term planning. Even if the current forwards are doing well, clubs need to think ahead. Contracts run out. Players age. Form can decline. What happens if one of the summer signings does not work out long-term? The club needs to have alternatives lined up. Reason number 5 is the competitive nature of modern football. Look at the other top clubs. Chelsea have a massive squad. Manchester City have incredible depth. Arsenal have built a strong group of players. Liverpool keep adding quality. To compete with these teams, United need to match their squad depth. Reason number 6 is the specific qualities Adeyemi offers. His pace is exceptional. His versatility is valuable. His potential is high. If United believe he could become a truly elite player, it makes sense to pursue him even if they already have other forwards. So when you look at it from these perspectives, Manchester United's interest in more attacking players makes sense. It is not panic. It is not a sign that the summer signings failed. It is smart, long-term planning aimed at building a squad capable of sustained success. However, there is also a counter-argument worth considering. At what point does adding more players become counterproductive? When do you have too many attackers competing for too few positions? When does constant squad turnover prevent team chemistry from developing? These are valid concerns. Sometimes teams need stability more than new signings. Sometimes players need time to settle and gel together. Constantly bringing in new faces can make it harder to build cohesion and understanding on the pitch. The challenge for Manchester United is finding the right balance. They need enough depth to compete at the highest level. But they also need stability and continuity to allow partnerships to form and tactics to be properly implemented. Whether pursuing Adeyemi tips the balance in the right or wrong direction is debatable. Reasonable people could disagree on this. Some would say United need his pace and quality. Others would say they should focus on other areas of the squad or give the current players more time. Understanding Adeyemi's contract at Dortmund. If Manchester United do decide to pursue Karim Adeyemi seriously, they will need to negotiate with Borussia Dortmund. And Dortmund's willingness to sell will depend partly on Adeyemi's contract situation. So let's look at where things stand. According to available information, Adeyemi is under contract with Borussia Dortmund until June 2027. That means he has about 2.5 years remaining on his deal when we reach the January 2026 transfer window. This contract length is very significant. Let me explain why. When a player has a long contract remaining, the selling club holds all the power. They do not need to sell. They are not under pressure to cash in before the contract expires. They can demand whatever price they want and reject offers that do not meet their valuation. In Adeyemi's case, Dortmund are in a strong position. With 2.5 years left on his contract, they can afford to play hardball in negotiations. They can tell interested clubs that unless they pay the asking price, there is no deal. They have no urgent need to sell. This means any transfer would be expensive. Dortmund paid around €30 million to sign Adeyemi from Salzburg in 2022. They have invested in his development. They see him as a valuable asset. If they were to sell him now, they would want to make a profit on their investment. How much would Dortmund ask for? This is difficult to say precisely, but we can make educated guesses based on the market. A 23-year-old attacker with Adeyemi's potential, playing for a top club, with over 2 years on his contract, would probably be valued between 40 and 60 million euros. That might sound like a lot, but in today's transfer market, it is actually fairly standard for a player of Adeyemi's profile. Young, talented forwards cost big money. That is just the reality of modern football economics. For Manchester United, this price range would be significant but not impossible. The club has shown willingness to spend money on players they really want. The question is whether they believe Adeyemi is worth that investment given the other needs in the squad. There is another factor to consider with contracts. If Adeyemi himself really wants to leave Dortmund, he can put pressure on the club to let him go. When a player makes it clear he wants to move, clubs often become more willing to negotiate. They do not want an unhappy player who might become a problem in the dressing room. However, there is no indication that Adeyemi is pushing to leave Dortmund. He seems settled there. He is playing regularly. He is working under a good manager. Unless something changes, Dortmund have no reason to sell unless they receive an offer they cannot refuse. This is why Romano's report about no concrete negotiations makes sense. Manchester United are interested, but actually getting Dortmund to the negotiating table would require serious commitment. United would need to make it clear they are prepared to pay big money. Otherwise, Dortmund will simply say no thanks and keep their player. How would Adeyemi fit into Amorim's system? Let's imagine Manchester United do sign Karim Adeyemi. Where would he play? How would he fit into Ruben Amorim's tactical system? What role would he have in the team? To answer these questions, we need to understand how Amorim likes his teams to play. At his previous clubs, Amorim has typically used a 3-4-3 formation or variations of it. He likes wing-backs who provide width, which allows his forwards to come inside into more central areas. This system would suit Adeyemi very well. He could start wide but have the freedom to drift inside. His pace would be devastating when running at defenders in these inside channels. Defenders hate dealing with fast forwards cutting inside because it is so difficult to defend. Amorim also likes his teams to play with intensity and press high up the pitch. When the opposition has the ball, Amorim wants his players to win it back quickly. This requires forwards who are willing to work hard and press defenders. This is where Adeyemi might need to adapt. As we discussed earlier, his defensive work rate is not the strongest part of his game. He would need to buy into Amorim's demands and work harder when United do not have the ball. If he can do this, he would fit the system. If he cannot, there would be problems. Another aspect of Amorim's approach is quick transitions. When United win the ball, Amorim wants them to attack quickly before the opposition can get organized. This style of play would be perfect for Adeyemi's strengths. His pace would be ideal for launching fast counterattacks. Imagine this scenario. United defend deep against a strong opponent. They win the ball. Bruno Fernandes plays a quick pass into space. Adeyemi uses his pace to run onto it, leaving defenders behind. Suddenly United have a dangerous attacking situation from nothing. This is exactly the kind of moment that can win matches. In terms of specific positions, Adeyemi could be used in several ways. He could play as a left winger, cutting inside onto his right foot. He could play as a right winger if needed. He could even play centrally as a second striker or attacking midfielder in certain matches. This versatility would give Amorim options. If the manager wants to change formation during a match, Adeyemi could adapt. If injuries force changes to the lineup, Adeyemi could slot into different positions. This flexibility is valuable. How would Adeyemi combine with the other attackers? There are interesting possibilities. Picture Adeyemi on one wing and Bumo or Cunha on the other. The pace and directness from both flanks would stretch defenses and create space centrally for Bruno Fernandes to operate in. Adeyemi could also work well with Benjamin Sesko once the young striker returns from injury. Sesko likes to make runs in behind defenders. Adeyemi has the vision and passing ability to find those runs. The two of them could develop a good understanding over time. However, there are potential challenges to consider. The Premier League is more physical than the Bundesliga. The pace is faster. The intensity is higher. Adeyemi would need time to adjust to these demands. Some players adapt quickly. Others struggle for months or never fully settle. Adeyemi would also need to handle the pressure of playing for Manchester United. This is not the same as playing for Salzburg or even Dortmund. The expectations are different. The scrutiny is intense. The pressure is enormous. Not every player can handle it. If Adeyemi can adapt physically to the Premier League, if he can handle the mental pressure of playing for United, and if he can improve his defensive work rate to fit Amorim's demands, then he has the potential to be a very exciting signing. But those are three big ifs that cannot be ignored. The Antoine Semenyo alternative. Here is where this transfer story gets really interesting. While Manchester United are reportedly monitoring Karim Adeyemi, some reports suggest that Antoine Semenyo from Bournemouth might actually be a better fit for what the club needs right now. Let me explain the thinking behind this and why it matters. Antoine Semenyo is a 23-year-old winger from Ghana who currently plays for Bournemouth in the Premier League. He has been in excellent form this season. He is fast, direct, powerful, and willing to work hard for his team. And crucially, he already plays in the Premier League, so there would be no adaptation period needed. The argument for Semenyo over Adeyemi goes like this. While Adeyemi might have higher technical ability and more potential to become a superstar, Semenyo is more suited to what Ruben Amorim's system needs right now. Amorim's tactics depend heavily on direct attacking and strong pressing from wide positions. This is exactly what Semenyo does naturally. He runs at defenders. He takes players on. He works hard defensively. He has the physical profile to handle the demands of English football because he is already doing it week after week. Semenyo knows the Premier League inside and out. He understands the pace of the game. He knows the physicality required. He knows how English teams press and defend. There would be zero learning curve. He could come in and contribute immediately without needing months to adapt. From a tactical perspective, Semenyo's playing style fits perfectly with what Amorim wants. He can stretch defenses vertically with his pace. He provides an outlet for quick transitions. He can hurt teams on the counter-attack. These are exactly the qualities that make Amorim's system work. Semenyo's work rate is also significantly better than Adeyemi's. He tracks back and helps defensively. He presses from the front with real intensity. He works for the team even when things are not going well. This kind of attitude and commitment is exactly what Amorim values in his players. There is also a financial consideration. While Bournemouth would ask for good money for Semenyo, he would probably cost less than Adeyemi. Bournemouth are a smaller club than Dortmund. They would likely accept a lower fee. This could make Semenyo better value for money. However, Adeyemi does have advantages over Semenyo that cannot be ignored. Adeyemi is more technically gifted. His close control is better. His dribbling in tight spaces is superior. He can create moments of magic that change matches through individual brilliance alone. Adeyemi's potential ceiling is probably higher than Semenyo's. If everything goes right, if he develops properly, if he fulfills his talent, Adeyemi could become a genuinely world-class player. Semenyo is unlikely to reach that level even in the best-case scenario. So Manchester United face an interesting choice if they pursue either player. Do they go for Adeyemi, the higher potential option who might need time to adapt and might not work out? Or do they go for Semenyo, the safer option who fits the system better now but might not have the same upside? This is not an easy decision. Both players have merits. Both could improve Manchester United's attack. But they represent different philosophies of recruitment. Signing Adeyemi would be betting on potential. It would be saying we believe this player can become world-class and we are willing to take the risk and give him time to develop. It would be a long-term investment. Signing Semenyo would be prioritizing immediate impact. It would be saying we need someone who can help us right now without requiring adaptation time. It would be a more pragmatic, short-term focused decision. Which approach is right depends on Manchester United's priorities. If the club is thinking long-term and wants to build for sustained success over many years, Adeyemi might make more sense. If the club needs immediate improvements to secure Champions League qualification this season, Semenyo might be the better choice. My personal opinion is that Semenyo makes more sense for Manchester United's current situation. The team needs players who can contribute immediately. They need players who understand English football. They need players whose work rate matches what Amorim demands. Semenyo ticks all these boxes. But I also understand the appeal of Adeyemi. His pace is extraordinary. His potential is enormous. If United sign him and he develops properly, he could be a special player for many years. Sometimes you have to take risks on talented young players to build something great. January transfer or summer move? One of the big questions surrounding this potential transfer is timing. Would Manchester United try to sign Adeyemi in January? Or would they wait until next summer? Based on Fabrizio Romano's reporting, a January move seems highly unlikely. Romano specifically mentioned that Manchester United have not started discussions about a January transfer. This strongly suggests that if United do pursue Adeyemi, it would be for the summer window rather than January. There are very good reasons why a summer deal makes more sense for everyone involved. First, Borussia Dortmund would be much more willing to sell at the end of the season. Selling a key player in January disrupts your squad halfway through the campaign. It leaves you scrambling to find a replacement quickly. It can derail your entire season. Most clubs avoid doing this unless absolutely necessary. In contrast, selling at the end of the season gives Dortmund time to plan properly. They can identify replacement targets. They can negotiate with other clubs without time pressure. They can conduct a proper recruitment process. This makes it much more likely they would agree to sell. Second, Adeyemi himself would benefit from joining in the summer. He would get a full pre-season with Manchester United. He could train with his new teammates for weeks before playing competitive matches. He could learn Amorim's system properly without the pressure of immediate results. Pre-season might sound boring, but it is incredibly important for new signings. This is when players build fitness, develop understanding with teammates, and absorb tactical instructions. Players who skip this because they join in January often struggle for months afterward. Third, the transfer fee might be lower in the summer. Clubs sometimes reduce their asking prices at the end of the season, especially if they need to sell for financial reasons or if the player is entering the final year or two of his contract. Manchester United might be able to negotiate better terms in the summer. Fourth, United would avoid competition from other clubs in January. The January window is typically quieter than summer. Fewer clubs make big signings in winter. If United wait until summer, they might face competition from multiple clubs all trying to sign Adeyemi. However, there are also potential arguments for trying to sign Adeyemi in January despite these considerations. If Manchester United feel they desperately need more attacking options to secure a top-4 finish, they might be willing to pay a premium to get Adeyemi in January. Champions League qualification is worth tens of millions of pounds. Spending extra in January could be justified if it helps achieve that goal. There is also the risk that if United wait until summer, another club might swoop in and sign Adeyemi first. If someone like Real Madrid or Barcelona becomes seriously interested, United might struggle to compete. Getting the deal done in January would eliminate this risk. Additionally, January signings can sometimes be negotiated at good prices because selling clubs want to capitalize on value while they can. If Dortmund decide they want to sell Adeyemi, they might accept a reasonable offer rather than risk his value dropping later. My assessment based on all available information is that a summer transfer is far more likely than a January one. Romano's reporting points in this direction. The logical considerations favor summer. And there is no indication of urgency from either United or Dortmund. If this transfer does happen, expect it to be next summer after months of watching, assessing, and eventually negotiating. Do not expect any movement in January unless something dramatic changes. The midfield priority question. Here is an interesting piece of information that often gets overlooked in discussions about Adeyemi. While Manchester United are looking at attacking options, their 2026 transfer strategy is reportedly likely to shift towards strengthening midfield. This makes total sense when you think about squad balance. United have invested heavily in attack recently. They signed 3 forwards in the summer. They might add one more attacker like Adeyemi. But then the focus needs to move to other areas. Midfield is clearly an area that needs attention. Manchester United lack a truly elite defensive midfielder. They need more energy and dynamism in the middle of the park. They need players who can control matches and dictate tempo. Midfield is arguably a bigger priority than attack right now. Carlos Baleba from Brighton is reportedly high on Manchester United's list of midfield targets. The 21-year-old Cameroonian has been excellent for Brighton this season. He has the physical presence, technical quality, ball-winning ability, and potential that United desperately need in midfield. So the bigger transfer strategy seems to be this. Maybe add one more attacker, possibly Adeyemi or someone similar, to complete the forward line. Then shift all focus and resources to rebuilding midfield with players like Baleba and others. This would be a sensible approach. You cannot fix everything at once. You need to prioritize certain areas and address them systematically. Attack has been the priority for the past year. Midfield will be the priority for the next year. The danger is that by focusing so much on attack, Manchester United might neglect other areas until it is too late. The defense needs attention too. The goalkeeper situation needs assessing. Squad depth across all positions needs improving. Building a title-winning squad requires balance.